To the war in Wisconsin. Recall fight against Republican Governor Scott Walker kicks up. His reforms are kicking in. And now property tax bills are ticking down. That's the first time in 12 years that's happened. And the governor says what he's doing is working.
The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel just this week wrote an editorial comment on their blog that talked about how the decrease in property taxes that we've experienced, that we haven't had in years, is directly because of our reforms and will continue to be. Stark contrast to both of my main opponents who say they're going to lift the caps on property taxes should they be elected governor.
Now, I know you've heard this before, but I'm going to repeat it. The teachers say that because of you, they're going to have to pay more towards their pensions, that you are going to reopen existing contracts and renegotiate them, teachers are going to get less, and that you are taking it out on them. And your response again?
Not at all. In fact, I've got two sons, a junior and a senior, who go to a public school right here in the state of Wisconsin. Their school, because of our reforms, is actually able to hire more teachers. Like a lot of schools across the state, they use savings out there to hire more teachers, to lower classroom sizes. In many cases, many of our school districts are actually able to set money aside to pay based on performance to reward excellence in education. And so, yeah, public employees like myself and others are paying a little bit more for pensions and a little bit more for health insurance premiums, but still far less than the middle-class taxpayers in our state, the very people I'm standing up to protect.
Okay. Mitch Daniels, Republican governor, Indiana, yesterday endorsed Mitt Romney. John Kasich, Republican governor, Ohio, today endorsed Mitt Romney. Scott Walker, Republican governor, Wisconsin. Mitt Romney, when?
I think Mitt Romney's a great guy. I think he's a great turnaround agent. What he did for companies, for our country in the Olympics, and what he could do as president would be outstanding. But between now and June 5th, I'm totally focused on making sure we win here in the state of Wisconsin, and we'll talk after that about the presidential sweepstakes. For now, I owe it to the people in Wisconsin, the majority of people who voted me the first time, to stay completely focused and devoted to what we're doing here in our state.
Now, that's the June 5th recall election. They have your opponents, the Democrats, have not yet decided on one single candidate to run against you. I believe they have a primary in the month of May. But that is an opening primary, isn't it, Governor? Republicans could actually vote in it. Is there an opportunity there for a little mischief on the part of the Republicans?
Well, there's some who've talked about it. May 8th is their primary. But, you know, Kathleen Falk or Tom Barrett, the two main Democrats, both of them are really almost running over each other to see who can pander most to the radical left, to the big government union bosses in our state. They both, in this last week, talked about repealing the caps on property taxes. Those caps you started out by talking about that for the first time in more than a decade have brought us true property tax relief, an actual reduction of property taxes. They're pandering to see who can be the biggest defender of the big government union bosses. We took the power away from those handful and instead put it in the hands of the hardworking taxpayers of our state. In either case, our opponent's not going to be the person on the ballot. It's going to be the out-of-state money from those big government union bosses, and that's why we're hoping people help us out at scottwalker.org to counter that message at the grassroots level.
Do you have a lot of money pouring in from out of state? I know that the Democrats have a lot of union money coming in from out of state. You have a lot of out-of-state money too, I think.
Well, people from all across my state and all across the country have helped us out. In fact, our last report showed that more than 76% of our donations came from people who gave me $50 or less. That's people who go to our website at scottwalker.org and click off and give us $25, $30, $40 at a time. But that really makes a difference because that makes up for the literally tens of millions of dollars that's coming in from out of state from the big government unions. They spent it last year trying to take out our Supreme Court justice. They spent it trying to change the vote last spring. And they spent it last summer trying to take out 6 of our Republican state senators who also faced recall elections. We ultimately prevailed in each of those races, and I believe we'll prevail again now on June 5th. But we're going to need a lot of grassroots support.
I hear that when you go out of state, like Oklahoma, you, sir, are a rock star. I hear you were virtually mobbed just the other day. Is that right?
Well, I've got 2 high school sons who would laugh at me being called a rock star. I think when I go to Summerfest, the world's largest music festival here in Wisconsin, they think I go to the old fogey stand. So rock star is not exactly the phrase I'd use.
But you
yeah,
are
there's
popular.
people who are passionate.
You're popular with conservatives, and I'm wondering, are you therefore on a short list or any list for vice president?
I got a big list of things that need to be done here to continue to get our state working again. And so I think if anybody out of Wisconsin's on a short list, it's my friend Paul Ryan, who would make an exceptional vice president, not just as a candidate, but more so in office. He's brilliant. He's one of the boldest people I know.
Would you just flat out? You'd totally reject it, would you?
I'd advise Mitt Romney, if you wanted to pick someone great from Wisconsin, Paul Ryan's the best pick out there.
If drafted, I will not run. If nominated, I will not accept. If elected, I will not serve. Will you make a Sherman-esque categorical rejection?
No, in my case, I'm going to stay focused on Wisconsin. I mean, our bottom line is after June 5th, I think people who are going to help us win this election want me to get through this and get the job done. We'll leave national politics up to people like Paul Ryan.
But just let me go back to Paul Ryan for a second. You support him for vice president? You support his policies?
Absolutely.
You like his budget?
Well, I think he's brilliant. I think part of the reason why we've gotten such great response, not only from conservative groups, but I was just at a factory this morning, from factory workers, from farmers, from small business owners around my state, is because they understand that we've done in our state and continue to do what people complained about for years, and that is politicians routinely get in office and fail to have the courage to take on the tough issues we all need to be taken on. Paul Ryan's doing it in Washington. We've done it here in Wisconsin. I believe voters at both our state and at the national level are looking for people of courage to stand up and worry about the next generation more than we worry about the next election. And that's why I support Paul for being a great person to put on the ticket, and it's why I'm hoping voters will continue to support me here in the great state of Wisconsin.
Governor Scott Walker, thanks for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Stuart, good to be with you.